Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today. I am Jess.
And I'm Sav. Welcome to Anna Diet Soda, episode 15, Creating a Life of Self-Love and Body Positivity.
Today, we will be talking about some topics that really hit close to home for some people and hopefully will shed some light for others. We'll be covering self-love, body positivity, and how to take care of your mentality in a world of social media and constant comparison.
Hi, it's Sav and Jess. Welcome to And a Diet Soda, an opportunity for people to celebrate their successes, share their failures, and hopefully give a little advice on all things relatable along the way.
This community is for appreciating the little things and fostering positive mindsets and intuitive thoughts by talking to people, because chances are they've been through it too.
Yeah, so I'm thrilled for today's episode because I stumbled across Maia's page one day. I don't even know how, and I just fell in love with the aesthetic and everything that you stand for. So welcome. We're just really excited to have you, and we know you've been going through a lot. So thanks for taking some time to sit here with us today.
Of course. Thank you guys for being so understanding and patient with everything.
Of course. So one of my personal favorites is when you shared a carousel of pictures, and one was photoshopped and then one was the real one. So obviously your life is being a content creator, an influencer assistant, you're training people now, you have clients, so you have so much that you're doing and you're in the middle of it all. So we just really want to jump right into things, and we wanted to know if you could explain what your work entails and maybe what made you go into this line of work.
So currently I own my own influencer brand strategy and marketing agency. I work specifically with influencers and content creators to help them scale their business, become highly visible, and then increase their revenue. This kind of all started because I went to George Mason University and I took a PR class where we had to work with a real life client. And that's kind of how I learned about independent contracting as a whole. And then of May of 2020, I worked with Michaela Shocks. And her Instagram handle is Mama Shocks, but she's basically an influencer as well. She's more lifestyle and motherhood. I did social media management as an intern for her clothing and jewelry brand, and then gradually became her personal assistant. And so she taught me everything about the influencer world, because it's honestly kind of a gate-kept industry. You really don't know much until you start working with people, which is kind of crazy. But from learning with her, I learned about Jessica Hawks and becoming a virtual assistant. And then from there, I kind of was I kind of want to have my own business too. I'd lost my internship, which was a corporate public affair firm in DC. And after that had happened because of COVID, I was let's just jump into this virtual assisting for influencers and see how it goes. And it's been going really well now. It's almost been a year. It'll be a year next month, actually. So that's kind of crazy.
Oh, that's so cool. I mean, good for you for jumping right into things. I was actually just talking with someone the other day who an employer had asked her, in a job interview, what did you do during COVID? Which I thought was such a, oh my gosh, kind of question. And it just sounds like you took that downtime to just run with your business and get super motivated and get on it, which is amazing. I mean, I think a lot of people don't take the time to take advantage of when you have downtime. So that's really cool. I'm wondering how you don't get sick of social media. It's easy to love it, but I feel at a certain point it's just too much. So how do you keep yourself so motivated and so on top of it, and to build your brand while you're also doing it for so many other people?
It's honestly so hard. And I think now I'm starting to hate social media so much, which is really bad because it is my job. But it's just kind of I'm learning that I need to start setting boundaries with it, because I used to go on social media for leisure and pleasure and sit there and catch up with my friends and watch cool TikToks or whatever the case is. But now I literally am on there from 7 in the morning until 6 at night. And I'm this is too much. I'm on my client's accounts. I'm in my account. There's too much going on, too many content scheduling. And I also don't think in social media as leisure anymore. I only think strategy whenever I'm on social media. So it's almost I can't enjoy it. So I'm trying to not do it anymore, but I'm addicted to TikTok. It's really bad.
It's so easy to get addicted to TikTok. Oh my God. That's why I try so hard not to even pick it up, because the next time I look at the clock, it's been 2 hours and I'm oh my gosh, it's just so easy to get stuck into it. So we just wanted to know a little bit more about if you maybe felt pressure to maintain a certain image too, with influencing other people throughout social media and Instagram and other brands. It's kind of challenging. So what's the feedback typically like when you do post about body positivity, and how does it make you feel when people are expressing their thoughts about these things?
So I used to be very nervous. Well, I started getting nervous this year about posting like bikini pics and stuff because I have gained weight since last year because of COVID and other outside factors that are just very annoying. And so I was like kind of insecure about it and really nervous. And I didn't know if I wanted to like show myself publicly because the internet is trash. And that's not to say that I have a big following because I don't, but just like the idea of people seeing it and like judging it internally freaks me out. So I kind of just sat there and I was like, okay, well, if I don't post it, then like who is going to post it? Like who's going to be there? And I also am really big on like transparency and honesty. Like I'm literally an open book. So I want to be able to post pictures when I'm not at my prettiest, or because I think they're funny. Like I think when I look ugly, like it's funny to me, or like post pictures where I do look glammed up and things. And I want there to be transparency because even though I'm addicted to TikTok, there has been a TikTok trend going on where some users will take celebrities and then show what their like Instagram pictures look like versus what they actually look like. And that has really helped me because I feel like we all have huge body standards, but in reality, like social media is genuinely so fake.
I feel the exact same way. I work in social media now too. And it's great because there's like so many positives to it. Like I'm in Seattle right now. Like I can go wherever I want to go, but you're just like, oh, I don't have any energy to do anything for myself, for my brand. You're like, I don't want to get on. It just makes me feel bad. But it's funny that you brought up the comparison because we actually just talked about this with Taylor, I think it was Jess. And that seems to help so many people. Like it helps me. I'm like, okay, let's like see the realness about people and what they actually look like. So
And that's the part of social media that's like weird because you have the opportunity to be like transparent and honest and like actually help people in a sense, but because people are so wrapped up in like the societal standards of women, as well as like the idea of like skinny culture gets you followers, being like a super pretty girl gets you followers, and even like face tuning, how you can literally make your face look exactly how it doesn't look in real life. I think people more so do it for the ability to grow rather than the ability for like the authenticity of things.
We respect you so much as being able to like go on and see a woman who has so much confidence in herself. And we just need so much more of that in the world. So we're grateful to be able to talk with somebody like you.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, what I was going to say was that exactly that, but in different words. I think that it's the pictures you post like in themselves are beautiful, but it's not the like, I think that people often forget how much inner beauty can shine through in a picture. Like you underestimate, like when you take a picture when you're genuinely happy and confident in yourself, and it's going to come off so much more beautiful no matter what your body type is. I mean, like I just think it's so apparent when someone's just like having a blast in a picture, and that's what I see. Like that's what makes me stop at a picture and be like, oh my god, I love that.
So cute.
So can you share with us a little bit about why self-love and body positivity is important, especially to share on the internet? Obviously, we're talking a little bit about this, but for, the younger generations as well, I think that some people think that also being body positive automatically means that people don't care about their health. So we just wanted to know what you thought about that, if you could debunk that a little bit.
I don't think body positivity means that you don't care about your health. I just think that you just feel so confident that you don't care. Like I'm not gonna say I don't, because I feel like I still struggle with body positivity in the essence of like, I want to look a certain way for myself, but at the same time, like part of me is like, oh, I don't care, I'm fine the way I am. And then another day I'm like, girl, we need to go to the gym soon. And so I think that body positivity is someone just sitting there, regardless if they're like your average societal standards of what beauty is, or if you're outside of that, if you're comfortable in your skin and like you necessarily don't care, like you're just comfortable, you're chilling, you're content, then I think that's what it is, because it's all about just being confident in yourself without feeling the need to like alter yourself in that way, like not feeling like you have to go on a diet or not feeling like you have to eat more. Just like the idea of like, okay, this is what my body is and it is what it is. So there's nothing I can do about it, which that's kind of how I feel, especially this might be like a complete tangent, but for like women that want to be moms and like how your body changes with becoming a mother, and that's something that I want to do. So sometimes I sit there and I'm like, I want to like get fit and have abs, but then in 2 years I'm gonna have a belly, and then that's gonna be wasted, and I just wasted so much time like working out. What the heck? So I try to think of it that way too. Like, I think a lot of people don't talk about body positivity as you age, and I would actually really like to see more people talk about that too.
Yeah, we that's another thing that we talked about with Molly a few episodes ago, was that she called it, and I really like this, she called it her adult body, because we have like our body when we're a teenager and we're like stick thin. Like I used to be able to pull my jeans up without even unbuttoning them, and that was strictly because I had no butt. And we're doing better now. And yeah, and then she talked about her body in her 20s and in college, which we all thought could have been skinnier then, and now we are in our adult bodies with a change in hormones and lifestyle, and you're kind of settling into this new homeostasis of your body, and it's totally different. But I also really liked how you were like, it just depends day to day. Like I try to be confident, but some days I love my body, and some days I'm like, I need to go to the gym, and I totally 100% relate to that. Like this morning I woke up, put my jeans on, and I was like, I feel pretty good, but who knows, in a couple days I'm going to be like, oh no.
And I think something that needs to be talked about more is the aspect of like, I think that people think like body positivity or self-love means every day, like I love myself, every day I'm okay, every day I'm sitting there like with a bath bomb and a candle or whatever the case is. But I think it needs to be normalized and talked more about the idea that like every day is going to be different, and you just adjust to yourself every day. Like some days you can't love yourself because you're just so upset or depressed or anxious, whatever the case is. And that's okay, as long as like you get yourself out of it, or like you seek whatever you need to like support yourself during those times, you know? So not feeling pressure that like you have to love yourself, because we're human and like we're going to hate something about ourselves all the time. And like, that's okay. Just not like excessive self-deprecation or defecation, whatever it's called.
Yeah. I have a question. What for you was it? Like I feel like a lot of people who are at this stage in their life where they're like, I'm just going to love where I'm at. It might change day to day. But what was that defining moment for you where you were like, you know what, I'm just going to stop tearing myself apart every day and I'm going to love where I'm at?
I think it was this year, kind of, or the end of last year and this year, because there was a lot of stuff that was going on in my personal life too. And I kind of just sat there and thought, like, why am I going to sit here and like stress about things? Like, why am I going to stress about my body? Why am I going to stress about my weight? Why am I going to stress about whether or not people like me or not? Like, why does like that stuff doesn't matter at the end of the day? Like, it's just a weird concept to me that people care so much about materialistic and like things that at the end of the day just don't matter. Like they matter in the moment because it makes us emotional, but really whenever you think about it, like why do I care that someone from high school is following my business account now? Like I don't even talk to them anymore. Like I don't even see them. I don't know what they're doing with their life. Or like why do I care that I have a stomach now? Like I love to eat sometimes. Food is good, so I'm gonna have a stomach. It is what it is. Like I think that's kind of what my mentality is now, is that I don't have the I genuinely don't have the capacity to keep stressing myself out and like being sad about things, especially like the things that are going on with my heart, because like emotion is like a stress trigger for me. I like really try not to like just like detach myself from things that just don't matter at the end of the day. Like what matters at the end of the day is like me doing what makes me happy. And if something isn't serving that, then I could care less about it, which is bad. I mean, it's not bad, but I feel like it comes off as like aggressive sometimes.
Yeah. I mean, I love that. I think you said it perfectly. Sometimes you just hit that moment. I mean, for you, you're like, I'm too damn busy to care. I can't. So yeah, I think you just hit that moment of like, what am I doing? Like you stop searching for validation from other people, and you start searching within yourself. And I think that's the defining moment that people have to be patient for too. Like if it's not coming naturally to you, don't even worry. It doesn't come natural to anyone. Definitely a learned skill. So I think you said it perfectly. And I'm glad also that you brought up your cardio journey a little bit, because we want to talk to you about that. I mean, that's been such a roller coaster So we know that you had to go to the cardiologist, and we saw your story this morning. You've been so open about everything, and we were finally finding answers and learning about your heart rate and how it drops right after exercise. So can you kind of share a little bit about that journey and how happy you are to finally find answers, and what movement and physical activity typically looks like for you?
So basically, I'm still not sure exactly what it is, and they aren't sure either. But, well, honestly, I haven't really gotten any answers from like my cardiologist or anything because they still want to run tests. But being able to like share everything on Instagram has had people who experience what I do kind of tell me their symptoms and the disorders and conditions that they have. And so the entire journey was really scary because the problem that I have is basically my blood pressure like just drops out of random, especially whenever it comes to like stress and physical activity. And so for a whole week, my blood pressure was just dropping significantly, like lower than it needed to be. Like an average blood pressure is 120, and the lowest mine was all like 2 weeks ago was 88 over something, which is really, really bad. So honestly, I felt like I was dying, but I think that I feel a lot better now knowing through Instagram, because people were telling me what they do is like I elevate my legs at least like 30 minutes throughout the day. I can't do any like too much physical activity like running or heavy lifting or like high intensity stuff, because I've noticed that that's something that my heart gets like stressed out about because it can't keep up with the blood flow of everything. And so unfortunately, I just have to walk and like do Pilates. I've never done Pilates before, but someone said that's a good idea. So I'm trying to figure out how I can like get back into like lifting and doing like the workouts I used to without straining myself too much. So it's been a frustrating journey because nothing has been going right for the past like 3 weeks, but it has been eye-opening because I think it was like the universe telling me like you need to sit down and relax and like I don't know if I'm allowed to curse on here. Please let me know.
Please do. Please do. Don't censor yourself.
They were based like I feel like the universe was basically like, bitch, you need to sit the fuck down. Like we've been trying to tell you to relax for years now. And it was kind of like that hard awakening moment that I was like, okay, if I don't like start relaxing, it's going to get even worse because I'm so stressed out that my heart can't handle things anymore. And so I literally just don't have the time for it. If it's an argument, sorry, babe, I don't have the time for it because I'm going to get stressed out and then I'm going to pass out. And then what are we going to do? We're both going to cry about it. Like we need to figure something out.
Yeah, and it's challenging to not have answers, but I think that's exactly what you're saying. I mean, I've been through a time like that in my life where I'm just so overdoing it, and I'm like, I have to relax. Like I have to let myself calm down, or else I'm thinking I might kill myself, literally. So,
Yeah.
but it affects how you feel, especially when your lifestyle has to change. So, bouncing off of that a little bit, we want to transition to the aspect of mental health and how that affected everything that you felt. So how are you able to prioritize your mental health throughout your journey with your heart, but also while you're on social media and technology all the time? I mean, there's just a lot of chaos. So, and I don't mean to stress you out. Please don't feel stressed out. We just want to know how you're able to, focus on you and what you need.
I think it's very hard because I'm the type of person where I focus on everyone else first before me. So it's a hard adjustment for me to realize like I need to start setting boundaries. I need to get on a schedule. I need to start voicing my opinion on things and telling people how I feel or telling people what's wrong without worrying them. So I have like life coach now, aka relationship boss on Instagram, shameless self promo. But I work with her now, and something that's been helping is kind of getting into like a routine of things where I have to like force myself to relax or take some sort of self-care during the day. Like in the morning, instead of waking up at 6 a.m. and instantly like answering my emails or answering my clients' emails, we like came up with the rule that I have to sit there for at least like 30 minutes and just like enjoy my time and not get on social media, because like apparently digesting social media too often is really bad for your mental health too. So I think like forcing something within your day, at least an hour to 30 minutes that you can do for yourself, is good enough to gradually get into the habit of starting to focus on yourself more, because it's kind of hard just to like jump straight into it and be like, oh, well, every day I'm going to take a bath and every day I'm going to go to the gym and every day I'm going to eat something healthy. And then you don't do it for a day and you're like, well, damn, I'm a piece of shit. I can never do anything. And so I think it's just easier to be like, okay, well, today I'm just going to read for 30 minutes and then tomorrow maybe I'll read and take a bath. And so like gradually adding things on has been helpful for me at least.
Totally. And being mindful of those things it's really hard. I actually just went through a full mindfulness certification training to be able to teach other people how to be mindful. And it is probably the most challenging thing that you can do in your life, is like trying to be in the moment, trying to be like tender with yourself. And it's because you would think that that would be something that's like, that should be easy. Like we should all be able to be like, no, I'm not going to go to the gym today, or I'm not going to do this, and that's okay, and I'll do it tomorrow. But instead we're like beating ourselves up consistently. So that mindfulness is a huge aspect in all of this too. But it sounds like you're really getting it down too. You've got it.
Yeah. I'm trying.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say earlier too, is that it's such a learned skill to be able to listen to your body and recognize what you need, because I think that this is such a common feeling, is that people like have a super busy work day, they miss lunch, they barely had breakfast, all of a sudden you get home and it's like 7 o'clock at night, 8 o'clock at night, and you sit there and you're like, I'm wiped. Like, I think it's such an important thing to be more like in tune with your body and listening to what it needs so that you take care of yourself, like simply from a health standpoint.
I think that it makes it more challenging for people to try to take care of themselves, both mentally and physically. Like if you can't make it to the gym for an hour, then you like just feel like you're unworthy of anything. Like you could also literally sit in front of your TV and stretch for 5 minutes if it makes your body feel good. But I feel like people feel that they can't even do that, or that's not even a thought, because society automatically makes them feel like they failed because they weren't able to do an hour a day, which is freaking ridiculous.
And it's a weird concept too, because I feel like it's a societal thing that when we grow, like, especially for Americans, I feel like the American lifestyle is very fast paced. Like you wake up, you go to work, you come home, you cook dinner, you go to sleep, and it's like all repeat. So we don't really understand how to slow down. But then we also are in the mindset of like, oh, stretching in front of a screen isn't good enough because you're not burning as many calories as you would lifting, going to gym. So now you're in that cycle of, oh, well, that's not good enough. Like, how can I stress myself even more to add more to like my daily schedule to be able to like meet this, not necessarily an ideology, but like meet this task that's going to benefit me in a way, when in reality, you're just overworking yourself and overstressing too. So I think it's just hard, especially for like our culture to, sorry, it's hard for our culture to be able to like slow down and sit and be like, okay, stretching is okay, or doing yoga is okay. Like people still think like yoga isn't a workout. Like take hot yoga and see if that's not a workout.
Oh my God. It's funny that you just said that. First of all, I'm going to tell a little story time, but first I want to respond to that. Yes, I totally agree. And I think it's like this weird competition culture that we've got to, where you feel like if you take an afternoon off, you're suddenly going to be behind and people won't respect you as much in the work field, which is stupid. And we can talk about that more. But yoga, if that ain't a workout, I swear. Sav took me for my first time last week or 2 weeks ago, I think it was 2 weeks ago, and she does core power yoga. She was an instructor for a while, and so I'm like, it was my idea too. I got myself into it. I was like, let's go. I want to try it. I want to get better at it because I'm just so bad. And we went, I died. And then I went after work a couple days later, and I like hadn't really ate anything all day. Wasn't really hydrated. And that was just all around bad. I had to modify every movement. I was in the back, like almost passing out. It was so bad. So yeah, yoga's a workout, long story short.
Yeah, no,
yes,
I mean, I look over at Jess and I'm like, are you sure? Well, we should mention, we did a weights class. It's yoga sculpt. So it's what I teach. It's with weights. It's hot. It's heated. You're doing burpees and bicep curls and like, warrior too. It's intense. And so you weren't bad, Jess. That's also it. We have to break that mindset too. Like you're not bad. You're learning. But something I want to do is, when you said earlier, Maia, that it's like you maybe, stretching in front of your TV isn't good enough. It's crazy because it's like, if stressing you out if going to the gym is going to stress you out more than just doing that in itself will contribute to weight gain and more stress. Like cortisol is a bitch. Like it will make you gain weight. It is the worst thing. So what we're trying to get out here, folks, is calm down, relax, let your body do what you need. Listen to, well, I mean, intuitive eating, everything that we talked about is great, but we also need to listen to these other cues within ourselves about what we need, what's going to make our bodies and our minds feel the best. So
Maya, what advice would you have for people who are struggling with body image right now or struggling to love their bodies where they're at? Like we can have goals for improvement, have goals for cardio health, for mental health, but what advice would you have to just be happy with yourself in the moment as you're working on those journeys?
Oh, I think something that helped me, which is kind of weird. I don't know if people do this, but I was always like told not to wear like stuff that was like too form fitting or stuff that kind of like showed my curves. And so something that I did that really, really helped with my body positivity was I completely changed my wardrobe and I wore stuff that made me uncomfortable. And I was like, no, like I'm going to like this outfit and I'm going to wear it. And so even like with my boyfriend, like, there's these shorts at Ari and they're like spandex shorts, but they're pretty short. And like, I get nervous about it because I'm like, oh, I'm going to go outside and like people are going to like sexualize me or they're going to think like my shorts are too short and like my butt's too big and I shouldn't be wearing that. And my boyfriend's like, there's nothing wrong with it. Like everything is covered. If you feel cute and you look cute and like you feel good, just go outside. And I'm like, okay, a bitch is just going outside then, I guess. And so I've been starting to do that now where like, even though I might not feel the best in how I look, but putting on an outfit that makes me feel good makes me feel better about my body. So I guess that would be my advice is like wear stuff that you've always wanted to that necessarily makes you a little uncomfortable because then you'll become even more confident and be like, ooh, this actually does look good on me, you know?
that's awesome that you have a support too and somebody like him to build you up because it can be hard to do that for yourself. So that's amazing. Another thing bouncing off of Jess's question is what about people who like, yeah, they love where they're at and they want to be, they know that they want to maybe be better. Maybe they want to gain more muscle or whatever it is. I mean, what about advice for somebody on that journey where they're okay, but they also still want to get better?
I would do two things. One would be not to look at an ideal physique because if you look at someone else and you're like, oh, I want my body to look like theirs, honestly, you're more than likely not going to be able to do it because everyone's body is different. So try to like create your own goals. Like maybe I want to lose like 5 pounds or whatever. Or maybe I do want to tone my arms, but not to have like an ideal body in mind. And that's something that I've struggled with is like the ideal bodies that I want don't even like look like me. And it would look weird for me to even look like that. So instead of focusing on like the ideal body of someone else, like Kylie Jenner or something like that, I'm kind of just like, okay, well, if I just lose 10 pounds, I think I'll feel a lot better compared to like, oh, if I tone my stomach and try to widen my hips this way and get my abs to look like that, then that'll make me feel better. And then another thing is not to stress yourself out about it because at least for me, like working out is a struggle because it kind of triggers my eating disorder because I used to like work out like 3 hours a day whenever I had like an eating disorder, a little bit more than that actually. And so whenever I do go to the gym consistently, like I get obsessed with it to the point where I'm like, oh, well, I'll go to the gym in the morning, won't eat all day, and then I'll work out and do like an ab workout. And then I'll be like, oh, that wasn't enough. And then I'll do a butt workout and I'll be like, that wasn't enough. And then I'll do arms too. And it's like too excessive. So kind of take it slow and be like, I don't need to go to the gym every day, but maybe like 3 days a week I'll go to the gym or 2 days a week I'll go to the gym. So kind of like have small goals before you try to like jump straight into something. That was really rambling. I'm so sorry.
No. I love that. I mean, first of all, thank you so much for being so open and honest and mentioning your eating disorder. I think that speaks miles to your recovery with that is to be able to just so nonchalantly be like, this is where I was, this is where I'm at, and I know my triggers. And I think that's I think it's so empowering for you and for people that are listening that are like, oh my God, I can't believe she just said that. Should I say that? Yeah, I think that's just amazing. So as a body positive person and as a person who has had all of this experience with eating disorders, disordered eating, can you talk a little bit more about that and your relationship with food and how that has affected your mental health?
Yes. So my eating disorder started when I was a sophomore in high school. And it was because I always like grew up curvy and I was always like told like, oh, she's too big bone, like, oh, she's a little chunky, whatever the case is. And I was like, ugh, I hate this. And I was also like the day of where I was like obsessed with, there's this thing called like thin Tumblr, and I would be obsessed, like searching through that tag and like looking at people's like hip bones and being like, oh my God, like I want to be that skinny. And I got that skinny, which anyway, I got that skinny. And so this one summer, which started, I was like, I want to lose weight. So every morning I would wake up and I would go running up and down my driveway for like an hour and a half. Then I would come in, I wouldn't eat anything, and I would do ab workouts. And then later that day, I would go on another jog in my neighborhood. And then after that, I would go inside and do another ab workouts. And then after that, like right before dinner or after dinner, I would go work out and then do like a butt or an arm workout. And it was just like too excessive. And I was dropping weight like really, really fast, and no one was really noticing, on top of the fact of like going out to eat. Like I would get anxiety attacks like going to restaurants with my friends, and I still have really bad anxiety like looking at menus, because I like get nervous of picking foods because I don't know if it's like a good food for me, or like, is this going to make me like bloated? Am I going to be fat today? Like, is this too many calories? I hate calorie counting too. That's another trigger for me. Like if I count calories, I'll lose my freaking mind. But it was basically just like me over exercising and under eating. And it got to the point where I don't even know. Oh, it got to the point where my parents started to notice, and they were like, oh, you're really dropping weight. And I was like, oh, fuck, the last thing I need is for my parents to know. And then I'm going to have to deal with that bullshit, because they at the moment weren't very like understanding of like mental health and stuff like that. So I never gained, like I think I gained the weight back naturally by just like still eating healthy but trying not to work out too much. But yeah, that's why like I get obsessed with working out. Like it feels good, but it's also just like I have a thing with control. So it's like, oh, if I can control this, and I'm very competitive too. So it's like yesterday I ran a mile. Today I'm gonna run 3 miles. And it's like, okay, bitch, that's a bit of a jump. Like we shouldn't be doing that. And I'm like, okay, like let's try it anyway. So that's kind of where it all started. Now I feel more nervous at like restaurants still sometimes, or eating at people. I hate whenever I'm eating and someone else isn't eating. Like it makes me, I'm like, no, like if you're gonna eat, then if I have to eat, then like you have to eat too, because it just makes me really uncomfortable. Or I still struggle to eat, which is bad. So my boyfriend, especially if I'm around him, he'll be like, okay, well, here's your breakfast, here's your snack, here's dinner. Make sure you finish this bottle of water before the end of the day. No, you're not allowed to go to the gym today because you just worked out like 5 times in one day yesterday. And I'm like, I hate you. But on the inside, I'm like, you're doing the right thing, sir. Thank you so much.
That's so crazy that well, first of all, thank you for sharing all of that. But it's crazy that you brought up eating alone. That's something people who may be struggling with their eating, maybe they don't know that they might have an eating disorder, or they have disordered eating. That was like for me the biggest trigger and awareness point for me, is when I'm out to eat with somebody, or if I want something to eat and I'm maybe with a friend or something, like, oh, do you want to go get this? And they're like, no. Like I get so anxious and like I can't eat unless they're eating. Like I can't eat that. And so that was huge for me when I was like, okay, if I'm hungry, if I need to like nourish my body, if it's even whatever, if I just want it, like somebody else doesn't have to be eating it at the same time. So it's something important to consider and be mindful of, because it's a good time to also reflect inward, like, do I want this? Is this going to make me feel good? What is it that I need? But it's the most wild feeling I've ever felt. And like my friends have pointed out and been like, why? Like I don't need to eat. I don't want it. You can eat it. Like that's fine. I'm not hungry. And I'm just like, I can't do it. I can't do it. So that's just crazy. It's so sad. It's so sad.
So wild. I've never met anyone else that has had that before. Like I thought that was just like a random, like weird thing. But I'm like, now that you're saying, I'm like, dang, that actually kind of makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, you guys just need a counterpart like me, because I'm such a social eater that every time someone suggests going to get food, I'm like, yeah, absolutely. Even if I'm so full, I'm like, I would love a Sonic shake. Let's go.
Like, I'm down for anything food related. I love that.
Yeah, that is so interesting though. I mean, I think that's super relatable, especially in restaurants. I don't know if I prefer, I can guess what you would say, Maya, but I don't even know if I would prefer to have the calories on there or not have the calories on there. But I think that I always hear like my mom's voice in the back of my mind being like, look, they have a wrap, like just like slightly gravitating towards like what might be the healthier option, even though half the wraps are still going to be like 1,500 calories if you're at the right place. Yeah, so I don't know what's more anxiety inducing, the having them have the calories or just nothing or what, but what do you do to help yourself and help you like calm down a little bit?
I am really like, I don't know if this is an eating disorder thing or if it's because I'm picky, but I guess this will be interesting to say. I hate going to new restaurants that I don't know the menu of because it genuinely stresses me out. Like, I will sit there for 30 minutes and everyone's like, can we get food? And I'm like, I don't know what I want to eat. Like, I don't know what to pick because I'm so nervous to get food. Like, I'm so nervous to eat something, and I already like have a bad relationship with food, and so I'm gonna be even more pissed if I get food and it's not good, and I'm gonna be like, take me now, like what the fuck am I supposed to do? And so like, just anything, I don't know, it's hard because anything on the menu is like, well, should I eat this because it's healthy, or maybe I'll treat myself and I'll get a burger, or maybe I'll get a chicken sandwich because chicken is healthier than beef, but then I hate chicken, so I guess I'll get beef, but maybe I'll get rice. Rice is too many carbs. Maybe I'll get a salad. Oh, fuck salad, I don't want a salad anymore. So like, that's literally my like brain processing, and I sometimes have to ask like, what do you think on the menu I'll like, and then they tell me. Or even like going to fast food places, I get so nervous to like go out to eat, and I have to like text people and be like, hey, where do you think I should go eat? And they're like, oh, go here. And I'm like, okay, thank you, because I can't make food decisions like that sometimes.
Yeah, and I think you're not alone in that. I have to look at a menu. If I go somewhere new, I have to look at the menu first, like beforehand.
Yes.
I take forever too, and it makes me even more anxious knowing that the people I'm with are waiting on me trying to find something. Like, if I'm going somewhere new, I already know going into it what I'm gonna get because I've like studied the menu. Like, I've literally studied the menu. Um, Speaking from the nutrition aspect, I think that can be really damaging, especially for people with eating disorders, because you're automatically labeling a food as like, it's bad if the calories are too high. But the crazy part is it's like calories are just whack. It's not a good way to represent what you're eating. How much protein are you getting? How many like healthy fats are you getting? Like, what's in the food? Like, it's not a healthy way for so many people to be able to track what they're eating, which is why it's important to try to listen inward and like get what you want to eat, or get what you want to eat. So it's crazy to me that that's something. It's like another way that the government controls us. No, I'm just kidding. They control our minds. No, it's crazy to sit there and look at the menu, and even as somebody who's worked on their relationship with food and knows about science and nutrition, to like sit there still and like, I have to mindfully tell myself like, it doesn't matter. That doesn't matter.
Mhm.
Like, it doesn't matter. Like,
Like,
I don't know if that ever will end.
if I like start to count calories, I literally get so obsessed with it because it's like, oh, well, it's not even about hitting the calorie. It's like, I need to hit below the calorie. And everyone always, for whatever reason, if you're not like actually working with like a dietitian or something, you're more than likely taking in like an under value of calories anyway. So the idea of like going to Chipotle and like seeing a bowl is like 300, 300, what the fuck, 3,000 calories, and just being like, should I eat this? Like, should I, like, I've just stood in line for 5 minutes. Like, I mean, 5 minutes isn't a long time, but it is to me sometimes. So I'm like, should I even like eat this? Like, I literally get so stressed out because I'm like, oh my God, like I just saw the number. I didn't even like think about it. And something that's actually helped me feel better about like calories and like eating in general is like, okay, if I eat a burger today, let me try to get like some fruit or some veggies to eat afterwards. Cause at least like I'll feel good that I ate something healthy, but I still like didn't guilt myself into only eating healthy foods and not eating like food restricting, because I'm really bad at food restricting, especially if I'm trying to lose weight. So there'll be times where I'm like, oh, I want a milkshake. And my boyfriend's like, no, you don't need a milkshake. And I'm like, don't tell me I don't need a milkshake. Okay. Like, if I want a milkshake, I'm going to get a milkshake. And he's like, okay, like, what the heck? I'm like, yeah, please don't tell me that.
That's super important. I've heard that before actually on another podcast. And this girl was literally asked like, what can your boyfriend do or your significant other do to help your relationship with food? And she straight up was like, I have to tell my friends, my family, my significant other, whoever I'm with, like, just please don't ever comment on what I'm eating. Like, I am on that journey for me, and you commenting anything, even if you're trying to be like helpful or you're trying to be nice, it can be very damaging for a person. So it's important to just not. If somebody wants your thought and opinion, like, they will ask you for it. You don't need to just give it to them. Okay, Matt, so we're going to move on to questions from viewers that a lot of people have questions about eating and work ethic and everything. So you're obviously constantly busy with work. I remember when we had our intro call that you were like in Starbucks trying to get work done, like you're always doing something. So what types of quick meals or snacks do you like typically take with you on the go during those hectic days?
I love fruit, and I know fruit is very healthy too. So I will eat like fruit all day. And I don't know if I should say this because I don't know if it's triggering or not, but if it is, I guess you can cut it. But you know how like people say like, oh, don't overeat because you're going to get bloated and like then you're going to have a stomach and then you're going to be fat because like you ate too much. But whenever it comes to fruit, I've heard that you can eat so much fruit within a day and it really like doesn't do anything to your body. So I feel like that makes me feel better opposed to like bringing a sandwich for lunch and like my subconscious being like, well, I'm going to eat this sandwich, I'm going to be bloated. And so I can't have like sandwich and chips. I have to have like sandwich and carrots. I'll just like bring fruit with me because I don't feel guilty eating fruit as a snack.
People think like, oh, you can't eat fruit because it has sugar in it. It's like an actual significantly different than eating a Snickers bar. If you're trying to focus on eating a healthier snack, that is, if you want to eat the Snickers bar, whatever. But if you're trying to find something that's on along the healthier side, like newsflash, fruit is not going to give you diabetes. Like it is not the same. Like that. Like the sugar within fruit is significantly different than the sugar within like a Snickers or something. And I'm just using this as an example, but it also comes with so many other nutrients. Like plants have so many other nutrients in them. So yeah, you have to think, and it's important to like recognize what your angle is when you're trying to plan these snacks out for your day too.
Yeah, I mean, I think you're so like in the thick of your journey right now. Like I think what you just said is awesome because as I think there's a lot of people who are also in the same position who can relate to that, where it's like, if your answer isn't something as simple as, oh, I just got over it. Like those are just the snacks that I bring and I'm totally 100% okay with eating now. You're like, no, I still have to pick and choose things for myself. Like, know that you're trying to get the nutrients that your body needs. And you're doing that in a way that you're picking the snacks that you feel comfortable with.
Mm-hmm.
That's awesome. So if you're listening, if carrots trigger you out there, don't do carrots, do something else. Like it doesn't, the food itself doesn't necessarily matter. I mean, it does, but you know, in the grand scheme of things, it's your mental health that matters. What are you going to feel comfortable eating? What's going to make you encourage you to eat the right amount and surrounding that. So I think that's really great. So lastly, our last question from viewers is, what advice do you have for your fellow entrepreneurs and someone who wants to start their own business, but might be like kind of nervous, kind of hesitant, a lot of work?
I would say one is not to compare yourself to other entrepreneurs. I think that a lot of now going into entrepreneurship, everyone's talking about like how much money they can make within a certain time frame, which I don't agree with that because everyone's journey in making income is different. So whenever you do start your entrepreneurship journey, don't think right off the bat you're going to be hitting like 5K in 2 months. You could or you could not. So like kind of understand that everyone's journey to entrepreneurship is different, and like your people that are kind of in the same industry as you aren't your competitors, but they're more so your motivators. So like seeing you guys, for example, as like a podcast company and maybe me wanting to start my podcast company, not being like jealous of like, oh, well, they have this guest, like, how can I do that? Like, why do they have so many followers and so many views? But saying like, okay, that's badass. Like, how the fuck can I get there? Like, what do I need to change about my strategy? Like, what do I need to change about reaching out to people to get to the same point as them, where I don't see them as a competitor, but now it's like, oh, they've inspired me to like work even harder than what I was. And then my next advice would be just to do it. It might fail. We've had a bunch of business ideas that fail. But at the end of the day, like I think it's a quote, like the hardest thing or the most riskiest thing someone can ever do is like try to start a business. And no one does it because they're scared, but just because like you don't want to sit there and think like, oh, I never did it, instead of thinking like, oh, I tried, but it like didn't go my way, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Just jumping in with both feet. I think your piece of advice is so awesome, and it's so hard. Like, I don't know why, when I think I'm a very independent person, and I'm like a competitive, like I can do it myself kind of person. But the more you get into whatever business you're into, the more you realize that it's a community effort, and people want to help you. And the more good you put out there, the more good you're going to get back. Like I was just, it reminded me of this story. I work with horses, and so we had the farrier come in today. The farrier is the guy that does the horse's feet, and like he'll trim them and put shoes on and everything. And so he was here, and he was telling me about how he got hurt last year, and there was a good 8 weeks that he couldn't work. And these guys make their money off of commission and off of per horse who they put shoes on and trim. And he said that it's like a little community. And so all the local farriers around, they took his clients, they made sure his business was still there when he got back, was able to work again. And I just thought that was such a prime example of it takes a village. Like it was just so cool that all that got spread out. People came and helped, and he's done that for other farriers before too. And I just think it's the same way, like no matter what business you're in.
And that's another thing I want to touch on is the fact that like how he had to take that break is whenever you become your own boss, even if you like work a average like 9-to-5 job, like whatever the case is, take time off because you're allowed to do that. If you're hurt, don't feel bad about the fact that you're not going to be working for like 2 to 3 weeks. I sat there for like 3 days, like feeling guilty about how am I going to be able to like talk to my clients or like help them? Like they've already paid for the entirety of the month, and now I'm not gonna work. Like, how am I going to navigate this? Like, I needed to take that time off. And sometimes you need a mental health day. Sometimes you need a mental health week. Sometimes you can't get up and go clean those horses' feet, you know? And so it's okay if you can't do that. So I think understanding in the mindset that you don't always have to overexert yourself to be successful. Being successful is like a mindset and like a happiness thing. So if like take that time off and like understand that it's okay if you need a break, because everyone needs breaks, and take your breaks more often. You get paid time for a reason.
Yes.
And don't let tell you that you can't take time off, because you can. Quit if they tell you that.
That's what it's there for. Like, yes, you need it. Yeah, it's a really fine line between trying to be, I feel like we automatically think that in order to be successful, you have to be working nonstop. And it's like, I cannot do that to myself. I will actually give myself a heart attack because I cannot function on that much stress. So with all of that being said, it's a perfect transition to our weekly challenge announcement. So this fully reflects Maya and her life. We get it. Life is challenging and busy and things happen. But this week, we challenge you to spend at least 30 minutes a day doing something that you actually enjoy doing. Just like Maya said earlier, do something, whatever it may be, reading, going for a walk, sitting there and doing nothing, staring at the ceiling, meditating, whatever it is, do that for you and you only, and something that makes you feel good. So thank you for sharing that with us, because I think it's beautiful and something I need to do. So we're going to transition to our this or that speed round now. So Jess and I are going to bounce back and forth and ask you some little questions like this or that. And then if you have something you want to say, you can totally say it, but we're just going to quickly pop through it. So
Okay.
Tea or coffee?
Coffee. Ow.
Traveling or staycation?
Traveling. I'm
We're-
nervous.
No, you're like, is that right answer? No right answers here. Work from home or work from a cafe?
Work from a cafe. I'm tired of working from home. Oh my God.
Yeah, you're like, I gotta get out of here. Shopping in store or online?
In store.
Summer or winter?
Summer. Well, I hate winter too.
Instagram or TikTok?
Well, neither.
TikTok. I think TikTok is more entertaining. Instagram is boring. You just look at pictures all day.
I totally agree. Okay, leak. Combine these. Lake or beach?
Beach.
Going out or staying in?
Going out.
All right, last one. Smoothies or milkshakes?
Smoothies. I freaking love smoothies. They're so good.
Nice.
So good. So good. Well, thank you so much for joining us today. We were so happy to be able to talk to you about your journey and all your accomplishments, all your hardships along the way. We know that hearing your experience will help so many people. It's already helped me. I'm like, oh, this girl, she's speaking.
You can find Maia on Instagram at Maia.Elise. It's Maia.Elisee. I don't know why my brain was like struggling. With her on her uplifting personality, her journey with work, entrepreneurship, and body positivity. I truly encourage everyone to go give her a follow because it's really inspiring to hop online and see somebody who's real and not trying to trick us out with all of these photoshops and edits and everything. So to become a part of our family and community, join us on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, TikTok, or YouTube at Anna Diet Soda. Thanks again, Maia, and we'll see everyone next week.
Thank you.
Thanks for listening. We hope you were able to give yourself a little love today. You deserve it.
Be sure to subscribe to this podcast and check us out on social media for weekly conversations and attainable challenges for your health.